Well, good morning. Thanks for joining Jonathan and Julie D in the morning. And Julie D is out today, not feeling well. So I'm getting a little late broadcast. I've had several meetings I've been in and got some news I'd like to share with you guys this morning as well. I'd like to first start out sharing with what Jeffries had to say. And I'm going to get this out there to you guys.
And to deliver a government that actually promotes the health, the safety, and the economic well-being of the American people. Instead, Donald Trump and his administration have been using taxpayer dollars to brutalize everyday Americans, kill American citizens, and violently target law-abiding immigrant families. It's unacceptable, it's unconscionable, and it's un-American. This administration continues to weaponize the Department of Justice, weaponize the Department of Homeland Security, weaponize the power of government to undermine the ability of everyday Americans to live their best life because they're so consumed with jamming their right-wing extremism down the throats of the American people. We will not be intimidated by any of their actions. We will stay the course as it relates to making sure that we actually fund the government in a manner that is consistent with our values, consistent with the Constitution, and consistent with the American way of life. There's a big difference between the Trump administration, Republicans, on the one hand, and how Democrats want to spend your taxpayer dollars on the other. Republicans, in their one big ugly bill, enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, ripped health care away from more than 14 million Americans, and at the same period of time, took $186 billion from SNAP, literally stealing food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans. And in that same one big ugly bill, used taxpayer dollars to give the Department of Homeland Security and ICE a slush fund that's been used to unleash a killing machine.
So let's set the record straight. Um, he wants to talk all this kind of crap, which is unfounded. But he's talking to anyways. How about the billions of dollars that they have stolen out in Minnesota, California, New York, Washington State, even? Um, and this man wants to sit there and talk about how Donald Trump is stealing from the mouths of American people. Um, these Democrats are right now fighting to try to cover up all the wrongdoings. They are doing everything in their power to try to get ICE agents out of their cities. Um, and, and this is all nothing but a deploy, folks. This is what trying to get everything reversed right now to take the heat off of them over all their corruption. And let's call it what it is: theft of the American people's dollars. These people flat out have lied, cheated, stolen our taxpayer dollars. That these illegal Somalians and everybody else have taken billions of dollars from we the people. Yeah, and you can say, well, they stole from the government, but at the end of the day, they stole from us. This is our taxpayer dollars that's been funding all this, and nothing's being done about it. Nobody is putting a stop to. I mean, right now we're finally starting to see a little action, a little bit. But until we see like Tampon Tim behind bars, the other guy, the mayor out there in Minnesota, I want to see arrest. That's what I want to see, because we're not getting anywhere with just a bunch of lip service. So again, they're starting to finally hold some people accountable. They're arresting people. I think there's like 30 or 40 so far arrested, but we're not seeing the people up top being held accountable. That's what it comes down to. Nobody's holding these guys accountable, at least not yet. So I'm waiting to see the heat put on them. I'm waiting to see um, arrest. Just like right out in Georgia, the FBI just got done doing a big FBI raid on the elections out there, election offices, and confiscated boxes after boxes on the elections. And we'll see what becomes of that. Just still waiting on information. And once we get that, we'll get it out to you guys. And but I'm going to go back to what Jeffrey's here is saying. Let's see.
in Minneapolis, using taxpayer dollars literally to kill American citizens in cold blood. That's what Republicans have done.
So now we're killing Americans in cold blood. If you guys believe that, then you believe I can walk on water.
In their one big ugly bill. That's their policy. And Democrats are going to continue to push back aggressively against it. We want to make sure that the Department of Homeland Security conducts itself in a manner that elevates public safety, not
All right, guys, I'm going to pause this for a second. You guys keep in mind this is a so-called elected official sitting there saying that the Trump administration is killing the American people. He's flat out saying that Donald Trump is murdering people. Um, you know, that thug right there needs to be held accountable for what he's saying. And again, it's more or less he's promoting violence because how do you think these Democrats are going to respond to Mr. Jeffries here saying the crap he's saying? They're going to be like, see, even Jeffries says that Donald Trump is killing people. Um, and right now, the Democrats, these Antifa thugs, and everybody in the book are basically saying, we're at a civil war. You know, they're 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 ordering people to kill anybody that has American flags in their yards, to go after patriots, to go after anybody that represents anything for Donald Trump. This is the kind of crap we're dealing with, and this is why these people need to be held accountable. The exact reasons why.
undermines it. And the American people are demanding accountability, and that's what Democrats are going to deliver. Questions?
Should we expect any sort of organized response from Democrats to the arrest of Don Lemon this morning? And what do you think that says about the Trump administration?
Trump administration has systematically targeted the free and fair press because they want to intimidate America and oppose anyone who is not willing to bend the knee to their extremism. We are not going to be intimidated at all. The free and fair press is central to the foundation of American democracy.
Well, Mr. Jeffries, when you start attacking our churches and your so-called freedom press to do that right, right during services or whatever, that buddy, you can shove it up you know where.
Thomas Jefferson famously made that clear, that he would prefer a country that had newspapers over government as opposed to governments over newspapers. This is central to who we are as a
How
country.
about we, the people, would prefer
And so Don Lemon, we
no
know,
Democrats in this country?
is an accomplished journalist who was doing his job as part of the free and fair press. There's no legitimacy, no basis to Don Lemon's arrest, no basis to the arrest of the other journalists, and the American people are not going to stand for it.
Well, jerkwad, when you
And House
start
Democrats are
attacking our
going to stand up
churches,
for them. And the rights of the free and fair press as central
may
to
you all
American
rot in
democracy and
hell.
our values in terms of who we are.
But how?
I issued a statement as it relates to where we are right now. It just happened. And so we haven't had an opportunity, even as members of Congress, to talk to each other about next steps. But of course, next steps will be forthcoming.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. I'm sure you've been monitoring what's going on in the Senate. What's your reaction to the fact that there's not a deal yet with the government deadline looming? Do you have any plans to speak to Speaker Johnson between now and when the House gets back? And do you think that 2 weeks is enough time to negotiate the reforms that you're looking for? I know that there's a lot there, so you can.
We have to deal with the issue of reining ICE and the Department of Homeland Security in with the fierce urgency of now. And a 2-week window will evaluate whether that's sufficient time, but there's urgency to dealing with this issue.
How about the urgency to deal with the Democrats for obstructing federal operations? How about the urgency for putting these people behind bars for interfering with a federal operation? How about uh, urgency to lock these people up for promoting violence, which is what the Democrats are doing? I mean, we can go down the whole list, folks. You know, how about the urgency for arresting these people for flat out saying our president is murdering people, because that's inciting violence as well. You know, when you're sitting there saying our president is murdering people, you know, I take that I take that to heart. This we have a president that is keeping his promises, promises made, and promises are being kept. You know, the American people voted for this. We wanted these illegals put out of this country. We wanted to make America safe. And this is the crap that we're dealing with now. And these Democrats, you know, if, and a lot of Democrats voted for Donald Trump this time around as well. Um, and the reason why they did, because they were fed up with all the fentanyl pouring into our countries, all the corruptness on the Democrat Party. And again, anybody that votes Democratic on these elections coming up, you know what? You get what you deserve. Because I'll tell you what, your party is a party of hate, violence, everything in the book. You don't see Republicans and patriots out there terrorizing your cities, burning flags, uh, chasing ICE agents all around, and impeding on investigations. That's your party. So, you know, that's the party of the Democrat. And these Democrats all need to be held accountable. They talk about insurrections back on, you know, during Donald Trump's term, right, right at the out there in Washington D.C. Like, oh my God, we had such an insurrection as these so-called Democratic law enforcement people and blah 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 sits there and opens the front door for these people to go in, to take a tour, and then they're held political prisoners for doing it. When you have that corrupt FBI and everybody else back then that was involved in this crime out there, in Washington D.C. You know, but what the hell do they call this? What do the Democrats call this? Oh, that's right. They call this a peaceful protest. That's what they call this. Peaceful protest. As they're ramming their vehicles into ICE agents, as they're sitting there terrorizing ICE agents, as they're sitting there tracking them down to their homes, making threats to their families, to their wives, to their children. And these Democrats call this all peaceful. Wake up, folks. Wake up, America. Another one of those days.
because ICE, as we've seen, is out of control, and the American people know it. The American people know that the Trump administration, on all of the things, has gone too far, and that taxpayer dollars should not be used to brutalize the American people, and in some instances, kill them. So this is something that has to be addressed. And, Democrats in the Senate, led by Chuck Schumer, supported by the House, made a clear demand. Separate out the 5 bills that clearly have bipartisan support. And then separately, we can deal with making sure that ICE is brought under control in a variety of different ways, including our demand, which we will not walk away from, which is that judicial warrants should be required before ICE can storm homes and rip people out of their cars.
Bullshit.
Judicial warrants. The masks have to come off, and body cameras need to be turned on for every.
We know why these Democrats want the mask off. That way they can ID every one of them. That way they can track them, stalk them, have them murdered. I mean, they've threatened our IS agents' lives over and over, threatening to kill them, everything in the book. And that's why Jeffries and the Democrats want these people to be unmasked. That way they know who they are, they know where to track them to. And believe me, if that happens, I guarantee you we're going to start seeing a lot of loss of life of ICE agents. That's what's going to happen, folks. What a piece of shit.
One, there should be an explicit prohibition on the detention and deportation of American citizens, period, full stop. And lawless agents
Lawless
who are
people.
brutalizing everyday Americans and law-abiding
What a
immigrant
piece of shit.
families, targeting them violently in violation of the law, should be investigated and prosecuted independently of the Department of Justice. We cannot trust the Department of Justice. They're an illegitimate organization right now under the leadership of Pam Bondi and the direction of Donald Trump. And so, if anything, the events of today reinforce, as it relates to the Department of Justice targeting journalists and.
So let's understand this. He's saying they're unlawful. Uh, how about when they were under the Biden administration? Um, Bear with me 1 second, guys. Your news, Arizona. Yes, speaking. Good. Yep. Hold on 1 second, sir. I'm on a live broadcast. Give me 1 second. All right, guys. I've got an important meeting I've got to do here with the sheriff's department regarding um, my being hit with a vehicle. and I've got to take this call. So we are going to be live again on Monday morning, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 Pacific. And hope you guys can tune in to Jonathan and Julie D in the morning. And other than that, God bless you guys. Have a wonderful weekend.